Hello, and thank you so much for clicking on this video today. My name is Sel, and I am your local K-pop gremlin with a lot of opinions. In today's video, I want to discuss some habits and behaviors that I've witnessed from some K-pop stans, honestly, including myself, that are a little bit concerning to me. If you do a handful of these things too that we talk about today, you aren't alone in this. And I'm not coming at this from a place of judgment. I just think that a lot of us may struggle with these things, and I personally think it's important to discuss them in a respectful way. So before we jump in, as always, please consider liking the video, commenting, and letting me know what you think about these opinions that I discussed today, and then consider subscribing if you are interested in more K-pop discussion content. I'm also a live streamer over on Twitch at twitch.tv/Cylindria, so come hang out with me there if you like to consume live content. All right, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in and get started. The first thing I want to talk about today in this video about concerning things that K-pop stans do is neglecting your own self-care in order to support the groups that you love. I'm a firm believer that your health and your life and your personal hobbies and safety should always come first. Now, I know a lot of people care a lot about streaming, voting, purchasing albums, right? And these things are great because we want our groups to do well quantitatively. We want them to hit those achievements. We love how happy they are when they win. But we should try and be responsible with how we engage in these behaviors, right? So if we are neglecting our responsibilities in our everyday life, like our workflow, like our school responsibilities, or if we are spending too much money on purchasing merchandise or purchasing albums and that causes us to not have as much money in savings for a rainy day, then we need to kind of reflect on how we're engaging in these behaviors. I think your groups would want you to take care of yourself first and foremost and not neglect getting food, getting sleep, going out and hanging out with friends because you're stuck at your computer streaming. Additionally, I think that if engaging in quote unquote stan culture and these online spaces surrounding K-pop is causing a negative impact on your mental health, don't forget that it's okay every once in a while to take a step back. If it's harming you to continue reading about things going on in the K-pop universe, if someone has harmed you in the way that they are expressing their opinions, or if people are attacking you online, it's 100% okay to block these individuals, take some time off social media, and just remind yourself why you got into K-pop at the end of the day. Genuinely speaking, I believe that enjoying K-pop should be fun. It shouldn't feel like a job. So the second it starts to feel like a job for you, whether you're a creator like me in these spaces or if you're just a consumer, you need to think about this, take a step back, and reflect on this behavior. The second thing I want to talk about in this video is that I've noticed that sometimes individuals put too much of their own self-worth and gain a lot of their self-esteem from their group's success or failure. I personally think that we can sometimes care a little bit too much about whether or not our faves are finding success, right? How many views did they get on their music video? How many albums did they sell or did they pre-sell? Are they winning music shows, right? And if they are not succeeding as much as we want them to, this can be kind of painful for us. Or on the flip side, if we feel like they have become really successful, we can gain a lot of pride from this. And of course, like I said, I understand why this is the case because when our faves do well, we feel like we do well too. Sometimes individuals feel like they're not really succeeding in life and maybe they're struggling a little bit at home, in school, at work, in relationships, and they can sometimes displace this gaining of energy and feelings of success and pride onto their idols. But the problem with that is that, yes, we can vote, we can stream, we can buy albums, but at the end of the day, we often have very little control over whether or not our faves do well. And additionally, sometimes we can take these things way too personally. So, for example, I really liked Stray Kids' recent comeback in June, S-Class, right? I think their album that they came out with 5 stars is fantastic. But a lot of people personally didn't like S-Class that much. And I went online, I went on Reddit, I went on Twitter to kind of read how people were feeling about this comeback, and a lot of individuals didn't like it. But that's okay. You know, I'm the kind of person that can say, okay, well, I really like this music and it's not for everyone. And genuinely, it's not my job to convince everyone to love the music I love, because I don't take it personally, and my happiness and my feelings of pride and success don't inherently come from whether or not other people like something as much as I like it, or whether or not Stray Kids is hitting XYZ achievement or getting XYZ award. On the other hand, I often see sometimes people, they'll start arguments. They'll say, how do you not like Queen Card? How do you not like XYZ comeback? Like, you have bad taste. My faves are better than your faves. They're doing so well. Look at all of these achievements. When in reality, it's okay to just let that be and just enjoy the music. So in conclusion, I feel like sometimes this behavior might be related to and might influence the need to argue and start these fan wars, these comparisons that are often not healthy. We have to remind ourselves that someone not liking your faves is not a personal attack on you, assuming they're being respectful about it at the end of the day. The third thing I've seen that concerns me a little bit, and this is something that I've seen a lot recently, is K-pop stans demanding control over everything and feeling as if they are owed something. I was inspired to talk about this recently from the Enhypen controversy, where a lot of Enhypen stans were very, very upset that the boys had a choreography in which they danced with women. Oh no, they touched women. They were so upset by this controversy that they went out and they raised funds for protest trucks, and they wanted to change the choreography. They felt that they were owed something from the company and from Enhypen, and they didn't agree with the choreography, which, by the way, I read that Nicki himself had a hand to play in creating the choreography, okay? They felt that they were owed something from the boys and from their company and wanted to see it changed. I've noticed that sometimes K-pop stans will demand things from companies as if they're owed their every dying wish. Now, okay, hear me out. Sometimes companies suck, right? And sometimes we might make demands or protest or sign petitions because we really want to see our faves be treated better. So, for example, it's been in the news recently that individuals were trying to attack Stray Kids at their fan sign recently in China, right? And a lot of people are really frustrated with the fact that it seems like JYP Entertainment isn't really doing anything about it, and they haven't come out with any sort of statement acknowledging it. So in certain cases like that, I think that it's okay to kind of cause a stink. But in other cases, it kind of frustrates me that stans will see everything as mistreatment, or they will be unhappy with a choreography or a K-pop idol dating or a K-pop idol even just spending time with another gender, and they will demand that that be changed. I think sometimes this comes from a sense of entitlement, and we have to remind ourselves that these are just people. They want to cater to fans because they want to do well, but at the same time, we don't get to turn around and demand that everything is exactly how we want it to be. We have to ease up and let go of this need for control. Now, this is definitely something that I partake in too, okay, so I'll be honest, but number 4 is having double standards but not admitting it. I think that having double standards for what you like and what you don't like, what you allow and what you don't allow, is very normal. We all have double standards for our faves, and I'll die on that hill. You will never change my mind. I think each and every one of us is biased in some way, shape, or form, especially when we feel really favorable towards a person, which K-pop really lends itself to that because of parasocial relationships, how connected we feel to these individuals. But when we feel really favorable towards these people, we may be more likely to make excuses for their behavior or have different standards for their content. It's almost impossible to stay objective in something like our taste in music and our taste in idols. For my own personal example, I often really hate cheesy music, especially when it's written in English lyrics and I can understand it. It makes me cringe. But I have double standards, and I'm the same person who will cry like a baby at Beautiful by Stray Kids, which categorically, right, is cheesy and is entirely in English. So why do I like it from them, from my faves, but I don't like it from other groups? That's a double standard. I think this is okay. I think it's okay to have a bias, but I think what concerns me is when people won't acknowledge these biases and double standards, and especially when these double standards lead them to bending over backwards to defend terrible behavior, while at the same time, on the flip side of the coin, they are accusing others of having terrible behavior and criticizing others. I think it puts us in a difficult position where we are willing to defend our faves for everything they do. We say that their music is perfect. They've never had a bad comeback. If they said XYZ thing that's kind of controversial, it's okay. They're a better person now and they didn't know. But then we might turn around and go, this song by this group sucks, or this person needs to be canceled for their behavior. We need to at least acknowledge at all times, none of us are objective. I promise you, none of us are objective. We are all subjective in this business. Now, number 5 is something that is not only pertinent to K-pop, but just generally speaking, and that's platforming hate and engaging in hate. We in psychology know that there's something called the negativity bias, and things that appear negative are actually more likely to garner engagement. People are more willing to listen, consume that content, right? More so than positive or neutral things. which is kind of sad to me because I think the world needs a lot more positivity. And it's something that's particularly salient for me or on my mind, right? Since I'm a content creator. And I think, okay, well, are my videos going to do well if I don't make it seem like this is a really negative video? It's just something that I think about. But some of y'all are literally sitting around waiting for certain idols or groups to fail, and it shows. And to me, this is very concerning energy. Like, I totally understand not vibing with a group, but the individuals that make it their job to be on the internet and put out concerningly negative energy towards idols or entire groups, it makes me wonder if they have any other hobbies or have any other friends. And I mean this like kind of condescendingly, but at the same time, it comes from a genuine concern for these individuals. Like, for example, checking over and over again to see if a group is still struggling in music video views, or wondering whether or not they're going to completely bomb at their next like live stage, or hoping that they don't win an award, or causing arguments with their fans. This behavior is never productive, and I think that when we surround ourselves with this own negative energy, it can only harm us rather than help one another or even help ourselves. And don't even get me started on solo stans or the people who only love like 5 out of the 8 members but actively hate the other 3. Look, look, you don't have to love everyone equally. That's why we all have a bias. And it would be ridiculous to say that you need to love all members equally. But, for example, I came across somebody recently who thinks that everyone but Wonyoung is great, but they actively hate on Wonyoung. I also came across somebody who thinks that IN from Stray Kids is ugly and is just a filler member, but they call themselves a stay. They call themselves a stan of Stray Kids. We don't claim you. Okay? You don't get to just say that one member is a filler member and is ugly actively over and over again on your social media, but then also want to be a part of our positive community. We don't claim you. And I also think that the rest of the members in that group you claim to support, if they found out that you're putting this energy out there, they would hate you if they witnessed that behavior. Is that what you want? At the end of the day, I try to reflect on whether or not my favorites, if they saw what I was saying and knew what I was thinking and how I was treating all members across the board, would they approve? And if in any way, shape, or form I felt that they would disapprove, that would make me want to change my behavior. In conclusion, generally speaking, I know that negativity garners more engagement. I just really wish that we spent more time engaging with and platforming love, support, and creativity. Now, I want to give a pretty massive trigger warning for this final opinion because it's going to revolve around eating disorders and body dysmorphia. So if that is something that is triggering for you, this is the very last opinion, so feel free to click off this video. The last thing I want to do is cause you some sort of negativity involving eating habits, and your own mental health comes first, okay? I appreciate you getting this far, and I'll see you in the next video. If you stuck around after that warning, my last opinion is it's very concerning when I see individuals, especially really young girls, using idols as Thinspo. Now, if you don't know, the word Thinspo is actually a combination of the words thin and inspiration, and it was a term that became really popular on Tumblr in the mid-2010s, back when, I'm going to reveal my age a little bit, but back when I was like really on Tumblr. I was really into it in high school. And back in the day, it wasn't really centered around Korean beauty standards or K-pop, but now it's really common to see K-pop girlies as the new visual subjects of Thinspo. My K-pop friends and I have unfortunately come across a handful of people, especially on Tumblr and on Twitter, who are using these idols as both weight goals and fitness goals. And I don't think there's anything wrong at all with wanting to work on your fitness goals or wanting to become more active or more strong, or maybe trying to eat slightly differently, like getting more veggies, etc. Or maybe you struggle with binge eating disorder and you want to kind of reduce that a little bit for your own mental well-being. But when we idolize, that's kind of ironic to say that, when we idolize these idols, when we put these idols on a pedestal because of their looks, I feel like this is a really dangerous, slippery slope. We are all very aware that idols are put under a lot of pressure to look the way that they do. And their level of physical activity is often really high due to their job, due to their dancing. And we know for a fact that their eating habits are not always healthy. I have seen comments from idols about only getting to eat grilled chicken and nothing else and how much they miss real food, or famous diets like eating one hard-boiled egg a day and an apple a day. And It's frustrating that these idols not only are doing it, because that makes me worry about them, but it's also sometimes frustrating that they're communicating these things because I think that it can have lasting impacts on their audience. We should be really careful about how much we idolize these beauty standards that are nearly impossible for the average person to reach and maintain. It's very hard for these idols themselves to reach and maintain these standards. So when we say, I want to look like XYZ from Le Sserafim, I want to look like XYZ from Enhypen, right? And nothing else will be okay unless I look like them. That is a standard that I want to reach. I want to look just like them. We are setting ourselves up for failure, and that really, really concerns me. All right, so keeping this video a little bit shorter, that's all I have for today. Thank you so much if you got this far. I really appreciate it. And don't forget to let me know what you think about all of these points today. Leave a comment down below, leave a like, subscribe if you feel like it. And I hope to see you in the next video, okay? Stay well, and I'll see you next time. Bye!